You won't hear this in therapy. Not from your mother. Not from the glowing girl in your bed, whispering, "I love you," with eyes full of ancient instinct. This truth, this undercurrent, is something men only discover in silence, in rejection, in betrayal. In the long hours after she leaves, and you realize, if I gave her everything, that if you showed up, if you remained loyal, if you worshipped her as your better half, she would see you as irreplaceable. You were never who she wanted, only who she needed, for a moment. She was soft, she was warm. She made you feel like a man, for a while. But now you're alone, and the silence around you is filled with one unanswerable question. What did I do wrong? You shrank, you adjusted. You thought maybe if you healed more, opened up more, softened more, she would finally look at you with hunger, not duty. You thought love was a transaction of kindness. That devotion was the currency. She didn't. She left. Or worse, she stayed, cold, distant, and quietly disgusted. Another listener. Another therapist. She wanted something older, something darker, something primal. She wanted you unapologetically male, but no one ever taught you what that really means. And you blamed yourself. Like a child rejected by his mother. But she never did. She'll swear she wants a nice guy, a sensitive soul, a partner who shares her dreams and washes the dishes. She never will. Because what she wanted was not what you are taught to become. He is a son of chaos, of logos, of direction and danger. They reach down into the animal, into the myth, where masks fall off and ancient truths still rule. To yield, to romanticize her as divine, as innocent, as a savior from your own internal void. She didn't want a boy in a man's costume. She didn't want another mirror. She wanted a storm she couldn't control, a chaos she could taste but never predict. She wanted the scent of blood beneath the cologne. And here's the sickness, the cruel twist. She didn't know this either, not consciously, and she believes she means it. But her body betrays her. Her instincts reach deeper than her mind. This is the part she doesn't want you to find. The part hidden behind her politeness. The part that moans, claws, and kneels, but only for a man she cannot possess. Not because he's cruel, not because he's disrespectful, but because he is something she can't fully wrap her psyche around. Because he is not playing the same game. He has remembered something you were taught to forget. He is not a servant of comfort. And that man, that forgotten archetype, is what haunts her dreams. But you were never taught this. You were taught to please. That was your first betrayal. Not hers, yours. You betrayed your instinct the moment you pedestalized hers. You handed over your power, not as an offering, but as an apology. I'm sorry for wanting. I'm sorry for needing. I'm sorry for being male. But Schopenhauer said it best. Women exist in the main solely for the propagation of the species. Not love, not meaning, not salvation. They are nature's agents, wrapped in beauty, driven by impulse older than civilization. They select, they test, they discard. They are not evil, but they are not who you thought they were. You confused their charm for character. You mistook their emotional fluidity for truth. You interpreted their tears as purity, when often they were tools. Unconscious weapons. Part of a dance designed not by logic, but by nature's cold code. But with that unhinged, devotional desire you saw her give to someone else. And what's worse, you made yourself believe that if you just became better, she would finally want you. Not for a night, not for security. But she never did. Because that part of her, the part you longed to awaken, was never meant to serve the polite. It serves only the man who does not chase it. Only the man who walks with his own center of gravity. A gravity strong enough to bend her, to pull her, to make her question herself. That's the man she craves, and fears, and resents. But she will never tell you that. Because the moment you find this out, the moment you look past the veil, her power fades. Not because she loses it, but because you stop needing it. And to the modern woman, that is the ultimate threat. Because your weakness made you manageable. Your worship made you safe. Your self-betrayal made her feel superior. But a man who sees through the dream, who understands her instincts better than she does, that man becomes something else entirely. He becomes untouchable, and that is why she does not want you to find this video. Because the second you remember what you are, what you were before you were trained, neutered, and pacified, you stop asking for her permission and start reclaiming your birthright, not as a reaction, but as a return to silence, to solitude, to strength, to the dark river beneath your skin, where no woman can save you, and none can take your soul again. The feminine is not evil, but she is not innocent either. She is not the angelic muse your childhood projected onto her. She is not the gentle oasis promised in soft-focus films and saccharine songs. She is older than your culture, deeper than your morals, and far more brutal than your romantic ideals can comprehend. Carl Jung once said, "Every man carries within him the eternal image of woman. But that image, that sacred inner projection, the anima is not her. It's you. It's your unconscious. Your longing, your mother complex, your unmet hunger dressed in lace and poured into her body. And then she disappears into the woods again, leaving you breathless, confused, and irreversibly changed. You never loved her. You loved what you saw of yourself in her. That's the betrayal you can't forgive, because you don't see it. You mistake the face of the woman for the shape of the goddess. But the goddess never needed you. She devours. She awakens. She tests. And still, like a fool, you chase her. You offer her safety, security, predictability, and she withers in your hands. She wants to be possessed not by force, but by presence. She wants to dissolve into something larger than herself, and she cannot do that with a man who is smaller than her chaos. Not because you are bad, but because you are known. She does not want to be your queen. Understand this. The feminine is chaos. In myth, in psyche, in sex. She is the siren, the moon, the abyss. She is the shivering irrationality that beckons you toward destruction and rebirth. By the feminist religion that tells you your deepest instincts are problematic, toxic, in need of healing. The Greeks gave her many names: Aphrodite, Hecate, Persephone. Each one a mask of nature's erotic cruelty and divine seduction. She wants to feel the edge of the blade without bleeding. Who is not enchanted by her softness? Who penetrates not just her body, but her unconscious? She wants to flirt with death, with madness, with violation, without being harmed. That's the paradox. She wants to be overwhelmed, but only by a man who is in control of himself. She wants you to take her, not ask for her. To dominate not in flesh, but in spirit. But your modern soul has been castrated by civility, by therapy speak and social scripts. No, they are not toxic. They are untamed, and she is starving for them. What she cannot tell you, what she is forbidden to admit, is that she longs for the man who sees through her performance. A man who recognizes her testing, her moods, her distance, not as flaws, but as invitations, rituals, gates. Every time she pulls away, she is asking, "Can you stand firm while I become chaos?" Every time she provokes you, she asks, "Can you remain rooted while I storm?" She doesn't want you to collapse, or lecture, or match her chaos with more chaos. She wants to feel your unshakable center, and if she can't, she punishes you. Not because she hates you, but because your weakness betrays her need for the sacred masculine. She rages not against you, but against your absence, the absence of your core, your spine, your divine animal. But here's the agony. You are never taught how to find that center, only how to perform. So you crafted masks. You became agreeable, supportive, safe. You thought this made you lovable, but she doesn't want safety. Not really. She wants to surrender. And no woman can surrender to a man she does not respect. And she cannot respect a man who kneels before her approval, because she is not your God. She is the gate to your gods. The myth is eternal. The hero enters the forest, meets the witch, the seductress, the goddess. She offers him temptation. If he succumbs, he loses his soul. If he conquers her, he loses his heart. But if he sees through her, truly sees her, he becomes more than man. He becomes mythic. This is not pick-up advice. This is not red pill revenge fantasy. This is initiation. And initiation is always painful. You must die to who you were, the boy seeking his mother in the lips of a lover. You must kill the inner orphan who begged to be chosen. You must bury the nice guy who believed virtue would make him desirable. Only then does the feminine see you, not as prey, but as polarity, as the one thing she cannot fake, tame, or predict. And she will hate you for this, and love you, and test you forever. Because once you cross that threshold, once you no longer need her validation to feel real, she begins to orbit you, not because you chased her, but because you became gravity. Schopenhauer, in his cold brilliance, knew what most men cannot stomach, that woman is nature's mechanism, a vehicle for reproduction, a being of pure instinct, masked by the illusion of morality and sentiment. He saw what we deny, that her love is conditional, tactical, and often unconscious. And though it sounds bleak, it is not cruel. It is true, but truth does not comfort. It dissolves illusion, and most men prefer the illusion. They prefer the pretty lie that love is earned by virtue, that women want to be adored endlessly, that sensitivity makes you worthy. No, women do not want to be adored. They want to be awakened by a man who has faced his own abyss, by a man who has made peace with his desire, not as something to hide, but as something to wield, by a man who is not afraid of her, because he has already survived himself. And until you become that man, she will keep leaving, keep cheating, keep shaming, keep saying you're too nice, while chasing the one who doesn't flinch, not because she is broken, but because she is a mirror, and you have not yet remembered what you were before they told you to kneel. You were never meant to be soft. You were meant to be whole. And wholeness includes the dark, the hunger, the rage, the chaos beneath your tongue, the part of you that would have terrified your mother, the part of you that civilized men deny, that therapists medicate, that women secretly crave but publicly condemn. This is your burden as a man in the modern world. To carry a fire no one dares name, not even you. To watch your softness rewarded with silence, while your edge, your coldness, your indifference draws them in like blood in water. It isn't personal. It's myth. You can never again mistake a woman's affection for eternal loyalty. You can never again believe that love is unconditional, because it never was. And once you see it, truly see it, you cannot unsee it. You can never again believe that your goodness is what makes you desirable. What she feels today is not a promise. It is a pulse. And pulses shift. They respond to power, to presence, to polarity. That is the law behind the law, the one no one tells you. Because if you knew this, if you truly embodied it, you would stop bending. You would stop pleading. You would stop performing. You would become a threat, not through violence, but through clarity, through stillness, through the refusal to contort yourself into something palatable. And that ... is the most magnetic thing a man can become. Not rich, not handsome, not famous, but unbothered, unreachable by shame, unshaken by rejection, is dangerous, unafraid of his own instincts. That man Because he is no longer a consumer of the feminine. He becomes her counterpart, not her slave, not her savior, but her opposite. And in that polarity, the old forces return. The archetypes reawaken. She stops being your therapist, your partner, your queen. She becomes the muse, the mystery, the madness. And you stop chasing her. You begin to create from her, from the chaos she evokes, from the rejection that forged you, from the heartbreak that ripped open your chest and revealed not weakness, but wildness. That is your task now, not to decode her, not to blame her, not to fix yourself so that she stays, but to become so whole, so undeniable ... so unapologetically male, that you no longer seek her permission to exist. You walk into the world like a storm with a spine, a myth walking in flesh, a man who has buried his need, not to become numb, but to become sovereign. And what woman could leave a man like that? Many will. And it won't matter, because you're not here to be loved. You're here to remember the man you were before she told you what love was supposed to feel like, before the culture told you what a good man is, before you traded your edge for acceptance, before you apologized for your very nature. Because beneath all of that, you are still there, watching, waiting, sharpening. And when that man returns, not with noise, but with silence, you won't need to ask why she left. You'll understand. She was never supposed to stay. She was meant to test you, to break you, to initiate you into the cold truth of reality, into the sacred silence of the masculine, into a brotherhood of men who wear their solitude like a crown. So when you see her again, the one who laughs too loud, who knows exactly what to say, who flickers with 1,000 unseen games, don't follow her with your eyes. Don't try to be chosen. Let her dance, let her disappear, and return to your work. Return to your silence. Return to your center. Because you're not here for her validation. You're here for your own becoming. And if she kneels at your feet along the way, so be it. But the moment you kneel at hers, you forget what you are. And what you are, if you've made it this far, is something more than she could ever love. You are something she remembers in her bones and fears in her womb. Because you do not need her to survive. You do not need her to feel whole. You do not need her at all. And that is when she wants you most. If this stirred something in you, not rage, not hope, but a quiet remembering, then leave your silence below. Speak without seeking approval. Comment, reflect, subscribe, not for entertainment ... but because you know something ancient has returned to you. And the men who find these truths must not walk alone.